On this episode of Real Estate on the Rocks, we're going to give you the top 10 tips to keep your New Year's resolution.
Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
Welcome back to New Year's Resolution Day. No.
National New Year's Resolution Day.
Right. So, welcome back to Real Estate on the Rocks. I'm joining the studio today, as always, with my main man, Marshall Tucker. What up, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
I don't know. That sounded stupid. Anyway, we got James, the new guy, Mendez, the butcher over here.
What's
himself,
going on?
On the ones and twos, the keyboards, the whatever he's doing over there. So, here we go, man. Let's get into these top 10 things. We were talking about our New Year's resolutions, what we've already broken, and what we need to keep up with. Today is a good day to get in here and start doing those things that we don't want to do when we don't want to do them to keep our resolutions on track. We're going to record this podcast real quick and then get back into the mix of prospecting, broadcasting. Get back into prospecting here. So. We're going to go over like the top 10 tips to help you keep on track, because there's one thing that we're all known for, or really kind of the stereotype of a resolution, is that they're broken rather quickly. Right. And so in the gym, I see, going into Orange Theory.
See those memes, like the zoo of everybody in there in the January 1st, and then February 1st is like crickets.
Yeah. I could barely get into the gym, and everybody's been pre-warning, like, book your classes ahead, because, all the people are going to come in here and, unrealistically set goals to lose 30 pounds in a week, and it doesn't happen, then they're out of here. But I won't be able to get in to start fulfilling my resolutions that I've kept. But I really don't make them for the health thing, just because that kind of stays top of mind all the time anyway. Yeah. So mine are more around business. And this year is, 2020's destitute to have just a fantastic year. The market's great. The economy's blowing and going. The housing market's strong. There's lots of new construction going out there. The price of wood's cheap throughout America. There's lots of workers ready to go. And just, there's lots of hammer swinging, shovel ready jobs, whatever you want to put it as. Like it's happening. I notice on the roads every day on the way to work of how many dump trucks, how many cement trucks, how many just service crews that might be, a truck that's a painting service. How many of those are on the road or in the traffic mix every morning? Right. And that's a sign of a great economy. Mm-hmm. That's the sign of a booming economy. And what happens in booming economies is people move up.
Yep.
They move in. Austin, Texas, where we're at least, it's a thriving city.
Yeah.
Right. And so I want to keep on track this year. And, our goal is, I'll talk about it as part of these whole top 10 things, is to talk about your goals, is that we need to do, basically about 10 transactions a month to stay on pace, 10 transactions a month. And on some of those bad months where we don't hit 10, we have the summer months to really exceed those 10 transactions, which we've done.
Yep.
And so it's nothing new to us. We just need to stay on track to do it. What are we going to do different this year than we did last year, right? So we have these things on the board all the time, and we bring them up in our meetings of how we are staying on point to keep our resolutions or keep our goals on track, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're going to share those with you today. And so these are a few that we always go with, is that we want to be realistic. That's number one. And when you're realistic, I hear a lot of people when they set goals, or a lot of these real estate, let's say gurus out here that might have some podcasts or do a lot of YouTube videos or Facebook videos. They talk about, your stretch goals of just how you need to think about your goals and double it, and I certainly see where they're coming from with that stuff. However, I think you need to pull back the reins a little bit and be a little bit more realistic, because if you don't hit your goals, if you set all those as stretch goals that you're going to do 200 transactions in a year and you're a solo agent and you don't hit it, you're going to get discouraged.
Yeah.
I believe you're going to get discouraged. You're going to give up. You're going to think the goal's too far away. Mm-hmm. One thing with us, with being realistic, is that we set our goals per month. So we didn't set a year goal. We know the outcome of the year, where we want to be.
Yeah.
And it's stated on our goal board inside of our office. However, we know that in January, we need 10 signed listing agreements, or or a good mix of signed listing agreements and a good mix of buyers rep agreements, or really homes under contract, right? And so that's what we're doing in January. So we're realistic. We're making it really attainable, right?
But
So
kind of segues right into the SMART goals then. So no stretch goals, but SMART goals. So we want to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time sensitive. Kind of things you were touching on there. Yeah.
Yeah, SMART.
So specific, clearly define what it is that we're going to do. Measure it. We're going to track it as we go through it. Is it achievable? Is it something realistic that we can actually do? 100, 200 transactions, but not 1,000.
Yeah.
Possibly.
You're not going to quadruple your best year. And like, I can do 4 or 5 times better than that next year. Okay, sure.
Baby steps.
Like, come on, like, be realistic. Like, something you can actually touch and feel through that process.
Is it even relevant? Does it even fit with your goals and your plans? And is it time sensitive? Set a deadline that we can get this done. So you're saying each month. So
right. So
kind
we
of
have
a month
basically
check-in.
30 days to do that every month, right? So we know that we're going to have to heavy load that these first few months with a lot of things that we don't typically want to do. So it goes back to doing the things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. A lot of times for us, it's not even picking up the phone. It's the other stuff like open houses, right? Or maybe even calling for sale by owners, or, we don't have the leads coming in like we typically do from our marketing coming January and February. Our numbers show that. So we really have to cast a wide net, and we have to go out and hit every avenue of lead generation, right? And FSBOs, we don't necessarily work FSBOs like we do in the middle of the year versus how we do in the front of the year, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of withdrawals in January as well. And I'm sure everybody on January 1st started calling withdrawals on New Year's Day. I don't do that. I know a lot of people that do that and have a great success. However, I'm chilling on New Year's Day just like everybody else is, right? So, or they're trying to at least. So let's switch over to number 2. Plan ahead. Don't make a resolution. Don't make a goal and wait till the last minute, right? So a lot of people waited till the last minute on New Year's Eve maybe to make their resolutions. We knew about our goals going into the year, and actually we're still setting goals after the new year, right? So New Year's here, we're kind of pivoting on a few of these goals because they might have some conflict with some other things that we're trying, because we're instead of like pitching such a wide net these days, we've gotten more micro on what we're doing, right? We see more results, I believe, when we go micro. Instead of the 7 main forms of lead generation, we kind of narrow it down to what we're really good at. And then we have 1 or 2 supplemental ones that really thrive, make that number 1 thrive, right? And so that's kind of, we grabbed a little bit of that stuff. That's a learned behavior that we've gotten from books like Gary Keller's One Thing. And there's a few more books out there about, really kind of focusing on the one goal, right? And so, or focusing on the one activity that's going to help us achieve that one goal with a couple supplemental. You have anything to add on that one, Marshall? Man, I got my tongue tied today.
Not really. I mean, you hit it on the head there. We did have an end of the year business meeting, and we had a beginning of the year business meeting, and just trying to catch up in between all that. And I took a little time off as well, but not too much. So
yeah, well, this is the first time we've done it in the past few years. Is we've worked straight through the holidays typically,
right?
And
I was actually lonely. I was looking around. I was like, why isn't Dave texting me?
We always get. I mean, I was lonely. I was like, I miss work a little bit, and I mean, I know that my better half Nicole, she doesn't miss work at all, and she's just like, why would you miss work? And I'm like, I don't know. I like the camaraderie around my office. I like doing the podcast. I like. These guys are as much as they're my, friends. I mean, I like being around them every single day, and I like what I do for a living. So, when you take these breaks, but last year, I thought about this, and Nicole and I had talked about it a little bit, was like, you're going to work and everybody's coming to work too. Like, don't you think like their spouses or their girlfriends or husbands will be mad at you? And I'm just kind of like, I'm not making them come. I'm just saying, let's get in here and let's keep it going. We had certain
y'all guys got to be there.
No, actually, I think there's at least 1 or 2 days during the holiday season where no one said they're going to show up and everyone just came to the office.
Yeah. I kind of gave everybody like the opportunity to like, hey, just take the time off. Let's be
Work
with our
from
families.
Home, do your thing, and everyone's
get
in the
it
office.
in because 2020 is going to be a hell of a year. You know, it's going to be a roller coaster. The podcast has gone absolutely berserk.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just like it's got tons of listeners. It's going strong. We've got some other ventures that we're doing that are pretty cool. But, you know, we have to lead with revenue.
Yeah.
And to lead with revenue means what? That we have to do the things that we don't want to do every single day. We still have to come in here. We do our rev up. We talk about our goals, our specific goals to ourselves, what's important to us, what's important to our families. And then that really kind of, we changed really our physiology. We do a couple little exercises, bringing our hands out to our chest, a little Tony Robbins stuff, you know, and we go after it. We attack specifically what we're going to work on that day. If we're calling for sale by owners that day, our scripts and practice role play is all about for sale by owners. And really, we know the content, we know what to say, you know, but it just kind of puts you in those positions because it loosens your brain up a little bit. It helps you visualize what you're about to do when you pick up that phone, right? And
Brings
so
in
you
the
have
focus.
that end goal, right? You have that end goal of setting some appointments for the day, right? And you might not get a listing that day, but that's an appointment. That's a contact. You went out and met them. They get to go in your database. You get to follow up with them. And then if you can outlast the other agents that are working that same for sale by owners, which show they're one and done.
Yeah.
You know, other agents are one and done on for sale by owners. And if we keep up with them, by the time they're willing to throw in the towel or ready to throw in the towel, that for sale by owner or that withdrawn, they're ready to throw in that towel, we're there standing.
Yeah.
Right. And saying, hey, look at me. I can help you sell this thing. Right. I've stayed with you for the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it's taken to help you get this property sold. I didn't abandon you. I'm not like most realtors. Like you said, you didn't like dealing with realtors. You've said you've never had a good experience with them in the past. I've showed you I'm a man of my word and I've stuck by what I've said. I'm still here with you. List with me.
Yeah.
Don't list with me. Let me sell your home. I don't list homes. I sell them.
Yeah.
Right. God dang, mic drop. Anyway, so anyway, that was a little bit off of our list right there. However, I started getting in the mood here, man. I get excited when we talk about
It's
this
that
kind of
physiology.
stuff. Changing that physiology, beating on the chest a little bit. Outlining your plan. Decide how you're going to deal with the temptation to skip prospecting. This will include, you know, letting your friends or other people in the business know that, you know, what your plan is really. Remember to keep it all positive thinking, positive self-talk. Remind yourself of really what is your desire to do this every day. Why are you doing it? If you skip that day of prospecting, what are the consequences? You know, I mean, is it that you don't have the appointments that are going to turn into, you know, a contract?
It's going
and
to
then
throw your
turn into an
momentum
escrow?
off.
Yeah. Does it throw your momentum off? Does it let you give you a pass for the next time that you don't want to prospect? You know, what if you don't want to prospect a week in a row? How far are you going to be behind then? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah. I kicked the can yesterday. I might kick it again today. I don't know.
Yeah. It makes it easier to kick the can, you know? And so you don't know what's out there. So you always have to be doing those things. Make a pros and cons lists, right?
Yeah, you got to write it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you got to write it out. I mean, statistics show that when you write something out, it commits to memory. So make a list, write the pros, write the cons down, and you can see kind of where you're going. It's kind of like a map.
Yeah, and you're not talking just write it down inside your phone. Don't send yourself a text. I mean, you can if you want. However, it shows it's a lot more powerful
Commit it
when
to
you
paper.
actually, pen to paper. And so pen to paper help you tremendously. Try it. See how it works. Write down some baby goals at first. Use the compound effect. You know, write down small goals. If you start to achieve those goals, you know this is working for you. There's no way it can't work.
Yeah.
You know?
I do a list every morning. Every morning when I wake up, I kind of do a little brainstorm. I write everything I need to do for the day, even if it's in my calendar. And if it's not, I'll add it to my calendar and just kind of scratch them off as I go throughout the day. And it kind of keeps me on track as well.
Yeah. Well, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist.
That's right.
Right. So talk about it. We brought this up a second ago is talk about this. Don't keep your goals a secret. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your spouse, tell your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, you know, scream from the mountaintops your goals. It'll help you be a little bit more accountable. Over time, it just develops a better habit of you achieving goals, and people get used to you achieving those goals. If you share with somebody that you want to sell 100 homes in the year and then you sell 100 homes, oh my geez, right? So they're like, man, this guy's on point. This guy knows what he's talking about. When it comes time for them to let somebody know that you're the professional to deal with when it comes to real estate, your referrals will pour in when they see you, when you see you executing at the highest level and then doing those things every single day. It just, the proof's in the pudding.
Not just that, but you can get support that way too. So I don't know for how long my wife had no clue what it is that I really do. I just get up in the morning, I disappear, I'm unavailable most of the day, and I come home, and she really doesn't understand every little tedious thing that we do all day long. But if I kind of tell her my goals, tell her what I'm working on a little bit, let her know what I'm trying to accomplish at the house, what I'm preparing, she's in your corner. She helps you out a little bit more. She'll take care of the dinner while you go and do what it is that you have to do on the phone, or just, give you that space at the house. So talk about it.
Right. Yeah. And so number 6 on this one is really reward yourself. So now you've done a couple actionable things to start keeping your goals. You should start in a week or two, start seeing some of the progress from this. What are those tiny rewards you're going to give yourself, right? So that doesn't mean time off. Well, I did so great this week, I'm going to stop prospecting. Don't do that. Yeah. I'll do so great that I'm not going to do open houses. No, don't do that. I
did so great. I bought myself a new headset so I can keep prospecting even longer and better and more comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Buy stuff that'll help you, or like a audiobook. Right. So you can drive, because you're gonna be, so like, well, if I hit my goals for like prospecting for like a week or 2 weeks, I'm gonna give myself a good audiobook so I can listen to something good while I'm driving around, showing clients or to and from work and stuff like that. Yeah, that's stuff that helps improve your life and your goals. Those kind of rewards.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, you can.
Dave asked me, he goes, "What do you want for Christmas, man?" And I was like, the usual, this or that. I was like, I don't know, give me something that relates to business. So he got me these brand new pair of headsets here. Ooh, now nice. I can hear y'all. Huh? I can hear y'all when you make fun of me now.
Yeah, Marshall, for some reason on the podcast, like we have all this like top shelf, just like equipment, right? All this great equipment over here. We've got these high dollar headsets and everything else. And Marshall just refused to buy a headset for himself. And I refused to buy it for him.
He was waiting it out. Yeah. He's like,
Christmas is next year.
Yeah, he definitely waited me out because I got sick of him not being able to hear. So I just bought him one. I bought him. Actually, his headphones are nicer than mine now.
Is that like awkward silence? You just wait out until they respond?
It's a negotiation tactic Dave taught me.
Yeah, exactly. He beat me at my own game. But he definitely had a great year. So that's and he contributes to the podcast. So I thought that would be the best thing. I like buying things for people that can use. Like, I'm sure some of the people around here wish I would give cash bonuses, but I'll buy them things like, an iPad because they can use it, right?
Yeah,
so they can have me annoy them when they're at home, and I can have them work from home. Or I'll buy them the earbuds, so they don't have to hear us talk or do the podcast down the hall. I'll buy them some earbuds or Apple Watch, things like that, just to show my appreciation for stuff. And so there's one thing. There's a lot of people that go by what I pay a salary and that's all I'm going to pay. I still think you have to reward people, not only yourself, reward the people around you for the wins that you're having. And I like to think that I always do that. And it certainly helps me when I see the gratitude from somebody, or I show my gratitude and then I see back, the gratitude from me showing them gratitude. Just kind of when it reciprocates is awesome. Number 7, no-brainer, track your progress. Keep track of each small success. Short-term goals are easier to keep track of each accomplishment. So if you're wanting to make 10 phone calls a day, I mean, that's a win. If you actually get out 10 phone calls, just remember, the goal is to have 10 conversations. That may make you take or really have 100 phone calls, right? So you might have to dial 100 numbers to get those 10 conversations, but you set out to make that. That's a small win when you have those, because it's hard to have 10 conversations a day.
Yeah, it can be.
Even if you call it around your sphere of influence, or your database, it's hard for them to get to pick up the phone. It's not that they don't want to hear from you. It's that people are living their lives, right? And so a lot of people, they miss their phone. Like I keep my ringer on silent. Like you said, you had sent me some ideas over the weekend for some upcoming podcasts, and I was like, you did?
That was me.
I just kind of, I went in, and so I didn't get either of your stuff. I pulled it up this morning, and I see it all there, and I'm like, how did I miss these? I was like, oh yeah, I've shut all my ringtones off so I don't get bothered while I'm prospecting.
Yeah.
And so I've set that up on purpose, so I can't
backfire sometimes.
Another reason to track your progress would be to check your conversion. So if your conversion's lower in certain areas, then that means you need to pull out the scripts for FSBOs or expired. So kind of helps you see your weak areas.
Yeah. And so when it comes to the weak areas right there, number 8 here, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up if you're not getting the close. And what the close is the appointment, right? So if you're not having meaningful conversations, or if you are having meaningful conversations, and you don't get the appointment, or you get the appointment and go and they list with somebody else, don't beat yourself up.
Thanks,
it's a
Mom.
numbers game. It's a numbers game. What do you mean, thanks, Mom?
Mom goes and lists with somebody else. Thanks, Mom. It was a joke. She listed with me.
She was thinking about it.
Yep.
She interviewed me.
Say, how'd you know?
Wait, didn't she buy with you first, but also told the listing agent how great it was and gave away?
She called him and told him how awesome the house was. It was the house for her. She didn't want any other houses in the neighborhood. I'm gonna send my son over there to talk to you about it.
Yeah. Side note on that, real quick. We were looking at RVs, awesome. Bumper pole RVs this weekend, and I'm sitting there, and I've read things like you should get about 30% off of the retail price of an RV. Right. So I go in there, guns blazing, right? I'm a negotiator, right? I'm a powerful negotiator. I've read Don't Split the Difference, right? So I go in here, guns a blazing, and I just flat out just say this is our price and we're sticking to it, and I was like, and that's a final offer, and I was like, it's kind of a little bit over where we want to be in the first place, but we like this feature and this feature. So if we can make it work here, and they come back and they didn't split the difference, which I thought, we definitely have a ceiling where I want to be, and some back and forth, and it's just finally they brought the sales manager over, and I always roll my eyes because that's the big guns, right? That's going to close me. And
send the wolf in.
Yeah, I sat him down, right? So he comes over to me and he's standing there, and I was like, well, "Why don't you sit down for a second, right?" Now I control the conversation, because I've given him an embedded command to sit down, and so I've taken control of the conversation, and I'm like, "This is what we're going to do," and he writes back, and he's still a little bit over. And I'm just like, and then he's like, well, talk to Renee and tell me what you guys want to do. And so they step off and he walks away, right? And so we go and we're like, hey, we're going to think about it. Just another play on this. And this is thousands of dollars we're going back and forth on.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I walk over to him and he's over there and he had just got off a call, and I walk up to him and I tell him the amount. I go, last and final, that's the door, we're leaving. And I've stuck my hand out and he goes, we're losing on this one. And I was like, so, I'm like, some days you're the dog, some days you're the fire hydrant, and so he shakes my hand, and I know that he's not losing, and there's something in there for him.
It's not as thick
it's just not as thick as he wanted it, and then the he calls the sales gal over, and her and I start talking, and she goes, I'm paying for your hitch out of my commission. Oh, and I'm just kind of like, oh, that stings, but thank you. I just said, oh, thanks a lot. That's great, and just kind of trying to guilt trip me. But I like to think that I won the negotiation. Yeah. I could walk away and they're probably high-fiving each other on oh, we got him right where we wanted him, So
the old tail hitch.
Right.
Comes free from the factory.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if that story was relevant. However, it was a negotiating story.
The tracking of your progress?
Yeah. Don't beat myself if I had to walk away. I guess there's a few things that pertain to that. So obviously stick to it. Experts say, we hear this all the time, that it takes about 21 days for a new activity to become a habit. And 6 months for it to become a part of your personality. We like the 66-day challenge. We've brought that up in the past on Hyperlocal Agents on Facebook, that we were going to have one of these 66-day challenges. I still believe we need to put that together. I want everybody to kind of get through the cobwebs of shit, the new year, whatever else, and then we're going to come up with something and probably put a group together over on Hyperlocal Agents on a new habit that we want to form. Whether it's from making your bed or, just consistently cleaning your house, or something that gives you a small win every single day. I get up and I love to make my bed. It's the first thing I do. It's a habit I put myself into.
Been doing it since a kid.
Yeah, and so I get up every single day and we make the bed. And now that I'm with Nicole for the past few years, we do it together. And so we just kind of make the bed together. Boom, it's done. We come home every night. The bed looks great. That's just that small little thing that helps you start the day. It's like at the gym in the morning. It's like I stick to the gym. However, every time they say, and walk it down in 3, 2, 1, I always count 3 more seconds. Right. And so on working out part, on the lifting part, I always do 1 or 2 more reps after it's been called, or they say 10, I'll typically do 12. It's just I want these small little wins, these little overachievements that feed my brain that I'll go the extra step. And so
those inches, especially so for military thing, it's those small wins, or the feeling that you're giving yourself, you're more dominant, you're more in control of even a situation you have no control of.
Right.
Because there's so many life situations and everything that you have no control, and you just have to try and grasp at anything you possibly can to hold on to keep you moving, keep you motivated. And it's those little inches, just digging those, everyone oh man, you're getting beat up, you're doing all that stuff, but one more. Just one more,
right.
Or one more inch.
Well, it's like one more phone
mile.
call. You know,
Yeah.
if you've made your calls that day, you know, or if you're prospecting that day, or if you're running ads that day, it's like, what would it be if you ran one more ad? What would it be if you made one more phone call or 5 more phone calls? You know, just like push it a little bit further than your goal every single day. It just starts going, and it just starts downloading into your brain there that you're achieving, you're doing things, and that one more call, as soon as it pays off for you, like I said, it's a numbers game, and you get a listing out of it. It's just like now you've got something to fall back on all the time and say, remember that one time you made one more call when you don't want to do it? You know, it's just kind of like
that one more call. That's 20 extra calls a month if you're doing them weekly.
5 days a week. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that adds up.
What does that mean for you? You know, and so that's what 140 calls a year more, right? And so if it takes you 100 phone calls to get one listing appointment, you know, that's potentially
for one extra possibility. It's an extra 10 grand, maybe more.
Yeah, if your average commission's $10,000, let's just go with $300,000 home. If it's $9,000, that's $9,000 extra a year. I can use an extra $9,000.
Yeah.
You know, certainly I could, especially right now. It seems to be I'm on a spending spree.
Uh-oh. That's not one of the list.
Yeah, stay off that one.
You got a place to stay now, though.
Yeah. Well, I bought a second home.
Going to go stay in the RV.
It's just got wheels. That's what I said when I get kicked out of the house. I could just go to the RV, and it's so nice, you know, fireplace, 42-inch TV. Like, can't beat that place. But all right, so did I already bring up stick to it? Yes, I did. So we're moving on to number 10, the final one. Keep trying.
Yep.
Keep trying. Do not give up. There's no reason you should give up. If you have totally run out of steam when it comes to keeping this resolution by mid-February, don't give up. Maybe take a weekend break. Maybe
Tap
take
into
a
the
couple
community.
days in.
Reevaluate.
The whole communicating with it and sharing it with. If you're feeling low, tap into the community, talking to people who are who are making resolutions, who are doing things to to continue to fight, or just have an accountability partner that'll help you drive forward.
Yeah, having an accountability partner is great, but you've got to put something on the line, though, because, you know, we've had accountability partners in the past, and we try to, you know, it's like Monday comes and we miss a phone call.
Yeah.
Then we miss another week, and then all of a sudden that person's a stranger to us. You know, they're not an accountability partner anymore. We barely know them anymore because they've dodged it.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of like, did I do something wrong? Like, oh, okay, maybe they're not keeping their goals, and the accountability's hard.
Yeah.
You know, so the accountability really, you have to be self-accountable. You do have to have that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of times if you share your goals, it keeps you more accountable because now it's out there. Now you look like more of a buffoon if you don't fulfill, you know, the things that you said you were going to do. And people can see when you give up versus you tried and maybe fell short.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot of times if you try and you fall short, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, you just really need to keep trying until you figure it out. And a lot of times like I commit first and then figure it out on a lot of things that we do. And a lot of times I guess they're failures. They may not be looked at overall failures. To me, they are. But if we pivot and get it on track, at least we know that we failed that way and not why we don't do it that way anymore. And then we sit around the, you know, like other agents or new people or people that we coach, and they say, well, why don't you do it this way? It would be easier this way. And I'm like, in theory, it's easier that way. You know, to lead generate is to it's easier. It sounds really good to do it like that, right? To post a bunch of Craigslist ads and do something like that. But it just doesn't work. It doesn't drive the phone calls that we need necessary every week. So we have to do those other things. I mean, we have to have a small mixture of, you know, calling for sale by owners, calling withdrawals, working open houses, like doing those things that are the low-hanging fruit. That's, in a sense, if you do them, they're the actual easy buttons of the real estate business. Yeah. You know, and so typically the actionable items are always the easy button. The result is the easy button, getting the good returns. It's the hard to break through of getting them done, because nobody wants to sit down and just start hammering the phones, right, and calling a bunch of people they don't know. Even though they got their hands up saying, I want to sell my home. I'm a for sale by owner. I'm going to sell my home. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know that I don't know a realtor. And typically that's what we find is they don't know a realtor, or they don't know how to do it. You know, they don't know another way. Yeah. Right. And so they're not tapped into Facebook where they see all 16,000 realtors in Austin, you know, like, just over marketing themselves about how they're realtors instead of talking about themselves. Right. They're doing all these other things that kind of like, they're not a part of that community. I know in Austin, Texas, where we're at, we saw a lot in Williams County, Georgetown, you know, Facebook and a lot of the communities that we work in isn't that big of a thing. You know, it's just like, that's not part of their generation. Yeah. And so we have to get in front of them in other ways. And typically the phone, we still do mail. Like we do flyers, or we do
postcards,
handwritten notes, postcards, things like that, you know? And so anyway, keep trying. There's plenty of things out there to keep trying with. There's no reason to really give up in this business. If you're just not cut out for it, you know, you've got to understand and you've got to move on. Don't fool yourself. It's never going to get easier for you. It's never going to get better for you. You have to try at this. You can certainly buy leads, but however, you need to really know how to qualify those leads. Right. So I talked about this before, is like the Zillow leads. People think that's an automatic, like, boom, I'm going to buy Zillow leads and have a great return. No, it takes.
Still got to work them.
Yeah. It takes like a great agent still to realize how they can help that person that's looking. You know, you still have to really have the presumptive close where you go after it and get them to meet you and they become a client. Right.
Yeah.
Because when they just talk to you, they're just a customer. They don't become a client until after you show them property and maybe have a signed agreement with them. Yeah. Right. So anyway, I'll get off that. That can go for days with that conversation. Anyway, we want to go ahead and reach out to Mike Harrell real quick, drop his name in here with Guaranteed Rate. Mike has absolutely helped our 2019 year out, and we're going to continue to do great business with him and great things in 2020. If you need to get a hold of Magic Mike, you can do that at Magic Mike at 88000. Favor time, I need you to get out there and give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to us on. We really do appreciate it. Leave a 5-star review. Give us a thumbs up, whatever it takes, whatever the platform does. Give us the best. Marshall, got anything?
And remember, join my Marshall Tucker's network referral group. Info at Real Estate on the Rocks. Send me an email. I want to talk to you.
Or just go to Facebook and find the group.
Or just go to Facebook.
Why do we do this every time at the end of the show? Anyway, got to get out of here. See you.